Imagine a nation where the color of your skin decides your destiny, a land filled with the beauty of the savannah, yet marred by the brutal scars of inequality. This was South Africa during apartheid. But amidst the darkness, one man emerged, a beacon of hope, resilience, and unity. His name, Nelson Mandela. Today we're diving deep into his extraordinary journey to end apartheid in South Africa, a story of struggle, sacrifice, and ultimate triumph. To understand Nelson Mandela's story, we need to understand apartheid. It wasn't just a word, it was a way of life. Apartheid, meaning apartness in Afrikaans, became official government policy in 1948. But its roots ran much deeper, back to South Africa's colonization by the Dutch and British. As European settlers claimed the land, they also claimed superiority over the native African people. Through the 19th and early 20th centuries, laws were passed to segregate black South Africans from whites. They were forced off their ancestral lands, pushed into poverty, and denied basic human rights. The National Party, which came to power in 1948, turned this segregation into a full-blown legal system, creating a nightmare for the majority black population. This is the world Nelson Mandela was born into. But who was this man, and how did he challenge such an entrenched system? Let's rewind to where it all began. Rolihlahla Mandela was born on July 18, 1918, in the village of Mvezo in the Eastern Cape. His name, Rolihlahla, means pulling the branch of a tree, or metaphorically, troublemaker. It's fitting, isn't it? Mandela grew up in a traditional Xhosa family, surrounded by the customs and stories of his people. But his life took a sharp turn when his father passed away. At just 9 years old, Mandela was sent to live with Chief Jongintaba, a regent of the Thembu people, who would introduce him to the world of leadership. Mandela excelled in school, eventually attending the prestigious University of Fort Hare, a rare institution for black South Africans at the time. It was here that his political awareness began to blossom. He challenged unfair policies even as a student, earning himself a reputation as a natural leader. Little did he know, this was just the beginning of his lifelong fight against injustice. In 1941, Mandela moved to Johannesburg. The city was a melting pot of cultures, but also a glaring symbol of inequality. Mandela worked various jobs while studying law part-time, encountering the harsh realities of apartheid at every turn. Johannesburg exposed Mandela to the full cruelty of racial segregation. Black workers were treated as disposable, their labor exploited to build the wealth of white elites. This ignited a fire in him, a determination to fight for justice. In 1943, Mandela joined the African National Congress, or ANC, which was at the forefront of the struggle against apartheid. Inspired by figures like Mahatma Gandhi, the ANC initially pursued peaceful protests and negotiations. Mandela quickly rose through the ranks, co-founding the ANC Youth League to mobilize a new generation of activists. Mandela believed that unity was the only way to fight apartheid. But as the government doubled down on its oppressive policies, the ANC's strategies would evolve, and so would Mandela's. By the 1950s, resistance to apartheid was growing. Mandela led campaigns against the pass laws, which restricted black South Africans' movements. But the government responded with increasing brutality. Then came the Sharpeville massacre in 1960. On March 21st, police opened fire on unarmed protesters, killing 69 people, many shot in the back as they tried to flee. The massacre shocked the world and marked a turning point for Mandela and the ANC. They realized peaceful protests alone might not be enough. Mandela helped establish Umkhonto we Sizwe, or Spear of the Nation, the ANC's armed wing. It wasn't an easy decision, but Mandela believed that when a government uses violence to oppress, the oppressed have the right to defend themselves. In 1962, Mandela was arrested and sentenced to prison for leaving the country illegally. But his troubles didn't end there. In 1964, during the Rivonia trial, Mandela and other ANC leaders were charged with sabotage. The trial was a pivotal moment. Standing before the court, Mandela delivered a speech that would echo through history. "I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society. It is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." Mandela was sentenced to life in prison and sent to Robben Island, a barren rock where political prisoners were isolated. But even behind bars, Mandela's influence grew. He became a symbol of hope, inspiring people across South Africa and the world. During Mandela's 27 years in prison, the world began to pay attention. The anti-apartheid movement gained momentum globally. From London to New York, protests erupted, demanding his release. Musicians, activists, and politicians joined the cause. Sanctions were imposed on South Africa, isolating its economy. Under this mounting pressure, the apartheid regime began to crack. On February 11, 1990, the unthinkable happened. Nelson Mandela walked free. After nearly 3 decades, he emerged, not with bitterness, but with a message of reconciliation. Mandela's release marked the beginning of the end for apartheid. Over the next 4 years, he worked tirelessly to negotiate a peaceful transition to democracy, culminating in South Africa's first multiracial elections in 1994. Mandela became South Africa's first black president, a moment that symbolized hope for a divided nation. He emphasized forgiveness and unity, establishing the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to confront the past without perpetuating hatred. Mandela's legacy is profound. He taught the world that even the deepest wounds can heal through courage, compassion, and the will to forgive. His journey reminds us that no matter how dire the struggle, change is always possible. Nelson Mandela once said, "It always seems impossible until it's done." His life is proof of this truth, a lesson for us all. Thank you for joining us in exploring the incredible journey of Nelson Mandela, a man who changed the world. If you found this video inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that change the world.